Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this glorious place we call Earth. Hello, it's Friday and Tottenham don't play this weekend. So everyone just breathe a sigh of relief. There's going to be no heartache this weekend unless you're a fan of an international team and you really care about that, which each to your own. Danny is with me. Ian is with me. And good morning to you both, chaps. How are we on this, for me, a cloudy morning? How are you both?
Very chilled today. Very chilled.
It's amazing.
Two weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Dan, you good?
All fine, mate. Same Spurs, different day, but we haven't had to play for a little while now, so I suppose that just puts a bit more life in me.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, a couple of things I want to talk about today, guys. This week we have been linked. I don't know how strong the links are with Aït-Nouri of Wolves. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that a bit later. A player, get ready in the chat for this later on, people. A player I actually really like, but don't think he fits Ange's way of playing. But I want to start with Son. I'm sure you've all seen this morning, that Sky Sports have had an interview with Son where he said that he's in the best shape of his career. And guys, I don't want to shit on Son. Son has been a magnificent servant for this club for a decade now. But I just felt like it was really weird timing, Lubo, to be talking about best shape of his career. Says that it's Ange that's giving him less minutes, not his decision. That he doesn't feel he's different to any other season. Just feels a bit weird, the timing, when Spurs look poor. He looks down in the dumps. His performances clearly aren't suggesting he's in the best shape of his career. What do you make of those sort of statements, Lubo, when you see that from a player?
Well, I think he may well be right. I think this could be, age catching up with him.
Sure.
Yeah. I think when I spoke to the guy I work with, the guy I sell for in South Korea, who's a massive Sun fan. And I was telling him about Sonny's form this season, and my guy watches Spurs quite a bit, and he said, "Look, the guy's getting old. What do you want? He's 32." So, it's. I don't think it's a surprise. Mm-hmm. You can't. Not everybody's going to be playing to the same level as a Ronaldo or a Messi, Lewandowski. I'm sure Kane will as well. These guys are sort of fitness freaks, aren't they? They're sort of out of the ordinary. Sonny, I think, has lost that explosiveness, and we've seen that over the last couple of years. I also think that Kane going has been a massive trigger, because Kane used to put him in beautifully. He used to find the passes, defence splitting passes, and Son would run onto them, and they had a telepathy between them. They had a real telepathic understanding that was terrific. And no other pair have scored more goals together in Premier League history. So, the facts are there. I just think that you lost a good percentage of Sonny when Kane left, and it's shown, unfortunately. He's still scoring. Yeah. Listen, he's scoring. He's assisting. His stats aren't terrible.
Yeah,
but it's not. But it's not peak Sonny, is it?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I suppose, an interesting thing, Dan. I want to pick up on 2 points that Lubo just made. First and foremost, I've said for a while now that I just feel that Son has always been a footballer that relies on that sharpness, not just the pace, but the pace is a big part of it. And then it's that explosiveness, cutting in. And how many times have we seen him cut in, whip one in the top corner? That's gone a little bit. And I've always said that I think that's down to age, Dan. I think that he's one of those players, because not all of us lose our pace at the same. I mean, I never had any pace, but not all of us lose our pace at the same stage. I don't think it's a negative thing that he's not as good as he was, but some people really are offended by talking about Son in that way, aren't they, Dan? I don't know why.
That is just where we're a clingy club, basically, isn't it? Too nice for our own good at times and whatever else. Son has been excellent for us, no two ways about it. But I feel what's happened with Son now is the same that happened with Hugo. And that's the fact that he was a good servant to us, good goalkeeper. I don't think he was a world-class keeper, but he was a very good goalkeeper, good servant for us. But the thing is, he's got that stain on his back, that mud on his back, if you want to call it, of like, yeah, Hugo was brilliant for us, but we should have got rid of him 3 seasons earlier. I feel now Sonny's now going to get that mud on his back if he stays next season. He's pretty much got it now, but I still think he could get away with this one. If he stays another season, he's going to have the same thing of Son was excellent for us. We loved him. Him and Kane were this and that, and he's done this and he's done. But we should have let him go 2 seasons ago, basically, like a big club would. No matter how loyal they are to him, whatever else, a big club would say, right, we can still get 60, 70 million out of you. Thanks for everything, mate. But baked potato. See you later. Dog eat dog world and all that. And that is what I think we should have done with Son, why we could have still got significant money for him. I think if we sold him, depending where you sell him, you could still get 30 mil for him. But I think Tottenham...
Do you not think you get more than 30 mil for him, Dan?
Do
you not think you could get more for 30 mil purely for the fact that wherever he goes, surely, guys, wherever he goes, the marketing power of Son is ginormous, right? It's gigantic.
Yeah, that is
probably the biggest in the world, other than Mo Salah, would you say?
Quite possibly. That is basically the point I was going to say. Like, with it is why we will keep him, which is the word morally, but professionally for the wrong reasons, technically for the right reasons. I think that's the right way to put it. And because the amount of money he brings in. As a player, I don't think we'd get more than 30 million for him, and that would have to be him going over to, what is it, Eastern European? Is that the way to put it? If I've put that the right way, he'd have to go over there, sort of thing. But
what about someone like Saudi? You don't think
Saudi? That's what I mean. Saudi? That's what I meant. Eastern European. That's what I meant. Saudi. I think he could go somewhere like them. We'd get 30, 40 million for him, possibly even more, because they can literally. They've got all the money that they want. But I don't see another big club paying 30 million for him. About the only one I would actually honestly see it to possibly go for him is either Paris Saint-Germain or possibly Bayern Munich. Possibly. And would he go over to Italy? Yes, but they wouldn't have the money to pay that sort of thing. Would Levy want him to go for anything less than that? No, he wouldn't, because of the money he would lose. But I don't think there's another big club out there would necessarily have the money for him, because in Italy, we've known older players to go to Italy and still make it. That's where quite a few of them end up going, because it's a slower game. I think if he went over to, say, Inter Milan over there, or even that dirty other little team, AC Milan, or even if he went and played at Lazio or whatever, or whoever over there, I think Italy would be the best place for him to continue his career as such. But there'd be no one over there with the money to pay that for him. But the money that would come with him would be massive.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Lubo, are you in line with Dan here? I mean, if you think first of all, before we talk about what money we would get for Son, when we triggered the contract extension a few months back, Lubo, were you of the opinion that was for Son to be a first-team player next year, or was that so that Spurs could generate a transfer fee this summer?
The cynic in me probably thinks it's purely financial.
The cynic, the truth, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think so. I financially it makes sense. Either way, it makes sense. If you're going to sell him, you got him on a year's contract. He's not walking out the door for free.
Yeah.
And I think 40-50 from Saudi is definitely gettable. Definitely. You know, and he'd be a bit of a flag bearer. He'd be, you know, a big name in Saudi football. Yeah,
sure.
So, you know, that wouldn't surprise me. And he may take a view, you know, he may look at it and think, you know, for 2 years I'm going to earn an absolute fortune. All depends whether he still wants to play competitive football.
But the thing for me about Son is, look, there's no getting away from it. He's not the worst player in our team. I want to ask this though. I've seen this in the comment section. And by the way, we are 2 subscribers away from 16.9k. 16.9k. 2 of you surely aren't subscribed. Smash that button, please. It would be much appreciated. The link is in the chat. And I am. Oh no, hang on. You know when you've had a mare. I've had a mare. 1 second. The link is in the chat. Please do smash that button and please subscribe to Danny on the Hotspur as well, and go and subscribe to Tottenham Away as well for those boys. Look, Lubo, somebody said this. So Ronnie has said, Son is the best player in our squad. Facts. Now, I think in years gone by, I mean, it's always been a difficult one because I don't think he's ever been the best player in our squad because we had Moussa Dembele and Harry Kane and, you know, Toby Alderweireld. And I think we had some top. Last year, I would have said, yes, Son's the best player in our squad at the beginning of the season. Now, sort of nearly 2 years down the line from Kane going, is Son the best player in our squad?
No.
In your opinion?
No, for me, I think Romero's head and shoulders above. I think, you know, Romero's ceiling is higher than any other player in our squad.
Okay, interesting.
Really do. You know, listen, players have great years, they have not so great years, they have average years. This hasn't been the best year for Romero. Didn't start off great, but he's still, you know, you look at how he plays and the balls he plays through the lines to, you know, into midfield, and the way, I mean, he was defending brilliantly last week until he got taken off, and then the wheels came off at Fulham. I think everybody saw how Romero played in that first hour. Just, you know, give him a chance. He played 7 minutes in 4 months before the match the other week. He'll be fine. Romero for me is our best player, and I'll be sorry if he leaves, and he probably will leave in the summer. Why would he want to stay? He wants to go and win trophies. Why would a player?
You know we differ on this one, right, Lubo? I won't be sorry if Romero goes at all because he's just because listen, it's not that I think he's a bad player. I know I don't rate him as highly as others, but I would love a Christian Romero to be part of any squad I've got if he was available. It's just too many games he's not available, but. You're right in what you said. I don't think Son is in any way our best player anymore. And I think this is where the age-old discussion comes in now, Lubo. When you were growing up, even when I was growing up, right, we didn't just judge everyone by GA, right? We didn't just
What was GA? You know, people were judged, strikers were judged on goals, defenders were judged on tackles and clean sheet. Yeah. And that was it.
So when I watch Son, me thinking that Son's dropped off a cliff, it isn't. Yeah, okay, he's got some goals and got some assists. So I'm also very keen to look at who those goals and assists are against because, for example, when he played well against Ipswich the other day and got a couple of assists, I would bloody well expect him to against Ipswich, Lubo. I would expect him to stand out. Sure. For me, it's not really the goals and assists. It's more, I think a top player is when they're not just getting goals and assists, what are they doing in a game to affect it? Which is the whole thing we always look at with a Brennan Johnson, for example. When you look at other players, what are they doing around them? What problems are they creating? Are they taking the game by the scruff of the neck? That's where, for me, I feel Son has just dropped off. I would say a little bit. I think it's a lot. The number of times this year, Lubo, the ball's gone into him and he's lost possession. The number of times his passing, saw it against Ipswich on Sunday. No one near him, 5-yard pass, gives it. Is it more that for you than the goals and assists where Sonny's game is starting to deteriorate a little bit?
No, it's not. I always joke, Sonny was always much stronger going forward. Balls running, you know, for him to run onto balls, always. He was never the sort of player that you could hit with a ball and he'd hold it up and he'd hold it and bring players into the game. He was never that player. So for me, Ange playing him at centre forward has just been completely wrong because he can't do that job. He just can't do it. And the centre forward has to do, you know, you have to rely. Kane, ball was hit up to Kane. He controlled it. He held it up and he held players off and he brought other players in. The same, obviously not as well, but Solanke does that as well. Son, every time he plays centre forward, ball goes up, comes straight back. There's no outlets. So for me, that was again another minus for Ange and his lack of tactical nous. It is he's not the best player in our squad. That's for sure. There are players that are better than him. But the problem is, I bet you Romero. Sorry, who was that? Just put up that one before.
I wasn't going to read it out because of who it
Matt,
is.
Matt, wait and see which club's going for Romero. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. Real Madrid come in. Wait and see. He definitely goes for Real Madrid, for sure.
I think he's a perfect Atletico Madrid player.
Mm-hmm.
I think him and Simeone for me would listen. I've got to caveat this again. I like Romero. I've just never gone over the top about Romero because of his consistency. But I do definitely think if you said to me right now, who would I rather have in the 11, Son or Romero? I know they're different positions, but it would. I agree with you, Lubo. It would definitely be Romero because I think I could get what I get out of Son. I think I could get out of Odegaard or Moore or someone on the left wing. But that's just my opinion. Dan. It's an interesting one with Son because there are people saying, and rightly so, there's people in the chat saying, look, why get rid of Son when we've got people like Odegaard and Johnson and Solomon and Hill? But just because those players, a lot to be desired at the moment. I'll give Odegaard, I won't count Odegaard because I think he's young and let's see what he develops into. But just because those other players aren't at that level doesn't mean that Sonny should still be here, right? Surely a proper club would have gone and bought a top replacement. I'm not saying you go and get Kvaratskhelia. You know, he was never going to come, but
someone who's more than stable will take his place.
There you go. Perfectly put.
And I agree with that. I mean, I've had a few grillings on here, same as we all have for what I say. For me, Son has never been a world-class player. Okay. World-class finisher, yes. Agreed. But for me, a world-class player has to be able to do more than just one thing. And he's probably been one of the most solid players I've ever seen with both feet. I can't really think of another striker or player that was just as consistent with his left foot as he was his right foot, like Son has been. Yes, okay, his right foot, we'll say he's 100%, and his left foot, I'd say 90%.
You wouldn't say Harry Kane, Dan?
Eh?
You wouldn't say Harry Kane?
Right. I'd say Son was better on both feet. I'd say Son's better with both feet. I'd say Son was clear. He's probably one of the clearest cut players I've ever seen with both feet when it came to a shot on goal.
Would you say better than Cristiano Ronaldo? I seem to remember him scoring a lot of goals with both feet.
I think he's up there with him.
Do you reckon?
Of what Son was capable with both feet, I would say he was just as good on his left foot. As good a player, no. But the point I'm trying to get is he was just as capable with his left foot as his right foot.
Yeah, I hear.
There wasn't really much difference in them. And I have not seen many other players ever be as consistent with their left foot as they are their right foot, like Son was. And he was a world-class finisher. Is he that anymore? No, he's not. Was he ever a winger? No, he wasn't, because his passing was always very average and his crossing has always been pretty poor. I mean, he's definitely lost a few yards, everything else and that, and he's not the best player at the club. Yes, he's going to be an idol. Should he still be there? Is he even good as an idol for the other players there when he's meant to be the captain? And in the majority of games, I just see him going down with the game as such. Only one or two or three times, should I say, have I actually seen him give it out on the pitch, basically, like, come on, get your act together. He seems to do what the rest of them... No, never. I always said that from day.
Is he captain, guys? Is Son captain purely on stature, longevity and name, rather than this guy's an actual leader?
I think Ange came in. I think that the answer for me, Ange came in and wanted a player with gravitas, with stature, who could bring all the different cliques together. Because you got the English boys, you had the European boys, you had the South American boys, and I think he brought the whole thing together. And, Ange, he lets the players get on with it, solve their problems on the pitch. He wanted somebody who probably wouldn't be, would be able to deal with the players, got on well with all the players and could talk to all of them if they had problems and keep him out, because we got a manager that doesn't talk to people.
Yeah.
Doesn't even talk to them during a match. So God knows what he's like off the pitch.
Yeah.
So that probably, for me, Sonny was perfect, because he was established. He's an icon in South Korea. He's captain of his national team.
Yeah.
So for me, that was I would have had Romero as captain. Romero's attitude, I think, when he plays, he's desperate to win, and yes, he's got an edge to him, and he can be rash. But you know what? I'd much rather have that than some of the powder puff displays that I've been seeing from our players this season. So for me, Romero should have been captain, not Son.
Can you give captaincy though to somebody that's never fit, always suspended, picks their
Well,
country
no,
over
they're
their
not always
club?
suspended. Sam, he's been sent off once in 2 seasons.
No, I'm grouping it.
He's cut that out. Since Ange joined, he's only been sent off against Chelsea.
I understand, but I'm grouping all this together in terms of injuries, suspensions, whatever it is. The man's only ever been available for 58% of his career at Tottenham. That's not a lot.
No.
Can you give captaincy to somebody who more often than not is not playing? That's the only question I'm asking.
Well, I mean, the only other person, who else would you have as captain? I'm trying to think that there aren't any.
Højbjerg for Ellie. Just for Ellie, I would have kept Højbjerg and made him captain. Just for Ellie.
What? You say that. He is the sort of person I would want as a captain, his attitude as such. But, I mean, he's a player that I think a lot of us do agree with, that maybe we shouldn't have got rid of him because we didn't replace him with anything. Romero would have been my sort of captain material. Like, I think everyone knows what I like as a captain. I like my captain to be in your face, loud, a Roy Keane sort of thing. I like my captain to be, like I say, the main two I use are Patrick Vieira. Gatasu was another great captain. Viari, when he played as captain, or Batistuta quite a few times. They were loud. You knew they was on the pitch. They wouldn't just give a player a kiss on the cheek because he's not having a good game. They might tell him once or twice, and then if they had to, they'd slap him around the face and say, get your act together. Now, attitude-wise, the way he comes across personality-wise, Romero would be my type of captain. But the fact that he doesn't even want to be at Spurs, well, I say fact, but pretty sure he don't want to be at Spurs. And he's not, it's just now that's done and dusted. It's past that bit. But he gets sent off a few times. That doesn't bother me for the fact that he's a captain. Look what happened with Roy Keane, even Patrick Vieira. Sure. Not as bad as Roy Keane, but still, he's got the sort of personality the way I would want my captain to be. But now I think that's done and dusted because I think he's already looking elsewhere and he could be going elsewhere.
Just so you know.
So with that one, yeah, Romero would be my ideal captain, like with his attitude and everything, even though it might not be the best of attitudes at time, but he does have the personality of what I would want as a captain. But again, I think we've missed that one now and he will be gone at the end of the season. I don't think he's as much of a great player as Ian says. He's another player who I think for his country, not Tottenham, I've seen him have world-class moments. I can't really think of when he's ever been world-class for us. I've seen him be very good, but then I've also seen him be piss poor. And again, he's very up and down. I don't think I've really seen consistency in him where over 10 games I can say he's been very good.
Dan,
there's always been one or two in the middle.
Wouldn't you say that though, playing devil's advocate, because I agree with you, wouldn't you say Romero's 4 years at Spurs now for Christian Romero, 4 seasons? Wouldn't you say Christian Romero's 4 years at Spurs and Bentancur's and Kulusevski's, don't their years at Spurs epitomise Tottenham Hotspur in terms of some good, some bad, never consistent, nearly, not quite. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't Romero, because he's clearly a talented defender. I've got no doubt about that. But for me, I think he's been brilliant in games. And then I see so many games in a row where I'm like, mate, you're not marking your man or you're not following. And I feel like, I don't know if it's concentration. I don't know whether it's not wanting to beat. I don't know. He epitomizes Spurs for me.
You see what? I mean, how do I put this? I think you've actually seen in one aspect, Kulusevski and Bentancur, I think you've actually seen them at their best. I'm not saying they're. I think you've actually seen them at their best for longer periods of time than you have Romero. I think he's been more unstable than them two. I think you've seen Kulusevski at his best and keep it for 4 months. Same as Bentancur. However, I've never seen Romero go like 4 months and kept it at his best. Yes, as an overall player, Kulusevski is just up and down all over the place. And so Bentancur's just been shit since he come back from that injury, basically. But what I'm saying is, I think I've seen them two on a longer period of time at their best than I've seen Romero actually do it. I think he's always been very good, good, very poor, very good sort of. He's been. I don't think we've seen him for a significant amount of time consistently at his best. Whereas the other two, I think we have. And I'm not saying they're greater players, whatever else, but I think we have seen at times them stick to their best, significantly consistent than Ronaldo. I think he's been so up and down for us.
Right, Sav, can I answer this? I actually gave my wife the thumbs up, as it happens, but I can't start getting involved in having a discussion with her because I'm online on here at the moment. So I actually gave the thumbs up that nobody saw.
That's the mute button, Ian. That's what the mute button's.
Yeah.
Time my door opens, Beth walks in, mute straight away.
Right. Can I also answer Matt? Because Matt said, could I see Romero in a Premier League winning team?
You're getting drawn in like I do. You're getting drawn in.
Here we go. Would whoever win the league with reckless Romero? Well, Argentina won the World Cup and the Copa America with Romero. So there's your answer.
With reckless Romero, Liam. Could you quote him properly, please? Look, listen, I think the whole captain conversation is very relevant. Like somebody put in there about Ledley King, and they said, well, look, Ledley King wasn't always fit, but was captain. I think at the time, for me, though, the caveat I'm going to give it is when Ledley didn't play, we had a ready-made replacement as captain in Michael Dawson, who was a leader. I think back then we had men. Back then, I think, and you know what I mean by men? I feel like when I look across this team at the moment, I don't look at anybody that's got. Listen, was Michael Dawson the greatest centre-back I've ever seen? No. But Michael Dawson, every game, blood, sweat, tears for Tottenham Hotspur. Every game, he pulled on that armband when he was captain, and no one, I don't believe any of us ever said, why is Dawson captain? Because he was a man, he was a leader, he was not a shouter, but he was, do you know what I mean? You get there, you do this. We don't have those figures, do we? We simply don't. Across the forward line, Solanke's not a captain. Son's not. Kulu, people talk about. For me, I think he gives good interviews, but I don't see enough of him on the pitch to think he's a captain. Bentancur, Suma, Starr, Bergbaum and Gray are kids. He's Van der Ven. He looks quite quiet to me when he's on the pitch.
So Savva, this is good morning, everyone. This is why I wanted to come on, because I was listening and then I found the conversation quite interesting, and I thought I'd jump on quickly while I'm working.
Oh, thanks. That's the nicest thing anyone said about my channel. I found the conversation mildly interesting. It was mildly interesting.
Well, you know, all you wafflers and stuff, you know. But you said something in that conversation, Savva, that I think is effectively the line that I was thinking whilst I was listening, is that when you map out all of these players, and look, I think Romero, at the time we signed him, maybe a year after, he had the makings of a top defender, maybe worldwide. And he's obviously won trophies for his country, which is, we can't really sniff at that, let's be honest. But what's effectively happened is whilst under, let's say, Conte, although he had his moments, I think he showed signs of greatness. When Conte left, he's gone downhill because we've had a substandard manager come in that's really dropped the levels of, I would argue, all of our players. And I can liken this a little bit to Bentancur. And I know there's injuries and stuff, but under Conte, I thought Bentancur was a very good midfielder, and you could see a slow upward trend in his performances. Certainly, the dozen or so games before he got injured, we were hailing him as our best player. And Bentancur strikes me as a person who needs a rocket fired up his arse to get into gear, and that's what Conte used to do. I mean, Conte called him an idiot, and then all of a sudden, Bentancur gets his wits about him and starts playing well. He's that type of player. So, in reference to having Romero as a captain, Romero would have been a brilliant captain under a very good manager that knows how to set up a team, tactics, all that sort of stuff, because he would have grown as a player. But what's happened is in the
Romero's captain sort of thing.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. And he would have grown into that role and become a better captain as he aged. But because, as Savva rightly identified, we've been such a mess of a club in the 4 years. These players have come to Spurs and they've stagnated and regressed, and as has Son, right? Son, you could argue, I guess, if he was at a better team that was more consistent, we wouldn't be seeing the level of degradation that you would see, that we're seeing now with Son. Therefore, would he be a better captain because of the football side of things that is going well? Now, I agree with you. I think Son's way too soft. I got sucked in. I remember all of us having the discussion when Ange first came, who should be the captain. And I was saying Bentancur at the time should be the captain. But I got sucked into the narrative that, because Son is a captain for Korea, that, we should give him the opportunity because he's now the talisman and stuff like that. And I hold my hands up. I got sucked into that debate. And I thought, let's give him a chance. The reality, with the benefit of hindsight, is the people you should have really made captain is not your Madisons, it's not your Sons, but really it should have been someone who would have played a majority of the games, that has skill and the respect of players around him. And I think that would have been Højbjerg, because he showed a willingness to get himself hurt for the team and be there, regardless of whether he's playing well or not. And when I look at people that I've respected in my life, it's always those individuals that commanded an aura of respect around them, that led by example, that showed maturity, that showed wisdom, that showed the willingness to fight for the team and for the better good. And that is encapsulated by someone like Højbjerg. I'm not saying he's the greatest player. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying as a personality. That's what I think should have happened.
That's basically what I said, Maz. I agree. I 100% agree with you on that one. He wasn't a great player, whatever else, but he did command that bit of respect for himself through his personality. The way he come across, like the same way Romero comes across, like, if you don't show me a bit of respect, I will slap you in the face. And that is what I want my captain to have an attitude like. I want him to be aggressive as such.
Savva's also... I've lost my point now. I literally just had it in my head and it went away. I was going to say, Savva, you've mentioned previously that we don't have men in the team, right? And 100% agree with you. We don't have real men in the team, because what we haven't seen in the last 2 years is players willing to put their bodies on the line and lead by example in the team. Now, and you were right to point this out when you mentioned it, is when Angepostecoglou said, I don't want, there's two ways you can acquire leadership and captain material. One is you buy them in, the other one is you grow them. Well, he hasn't shown any evidence of him growing anything, right? So in that scenario, why hasn't he brought in a captain? You know, and again, failure of adaptability, a failure of his management, you know.
He said he's going to develop them. I mean, Maz, look, from what you've been saying, isn't the worry for me is not only that there's not a leader on the pitch, but they're not getting the leadership on the sideline. So we've got no one on the pitch that's a leader. You've got a manager that stands there with his arms folded. And then you've got fans saying, oh, well, the players are letting him down. Well, listen, players are human beings, right? Players have always needed somebody to look at to go, right, where am I getting my positive energy from? Where am I getting my leadership from? Where am I getting my cajoling from? So you've got, if you've noticed as well, Mason and the others, Montgomery, etc., they never, ever step into the technical area. No one ever talks to Ange. Ange stands their arms folded. Son doesn't cajole the players. For me, the only one that does it sometimes is Vicario and sometimes Maddison. Other than that, I'm looking around, Maz, going, where do these players, where do the Adogis, the Bergbaus, the Greys, the Odebergs, who do they look to for support?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I've become increasingly disinterested in talking about the actual football at Tottenham, because I think he's such a poor manager and things are so in disarray that I'm just fed up of discussing who's he picking, where's he playing this midfielder this time, you know, are the wing backs inverted? I mean, the whole thing's broken. So I like talking about the fundamentals of what Ange has built, and it's exactly what you've just said. When you employ kids to be part of I say kids, let's not disrespect them too much. When you employ substandard coaches, right? That's another way of digging at them. When you employ substandard coaches to be part of your staff, and you don't even allow them to question you or engage with you without shooting them down, my God, is that an indictment of a poor manager who doesn't deserve to be at a club like Spurs? You know, or even in elite football. I mean, this is not even like elite football stuff. This is in any walk of life. You know, you build a team around hiring individual leaders to be part of the team that you can delegate responsibility to, and that you can trust to have a two-way communication as to when things are going wrong or how you can improve things. If the communication is only like autocratic, it's coming from the top down, and that's the only way that communication happens and leadership happens, then you're bound to fail. The team will be very limited and dysfunctional. So it's, basically, Savva, I agree with you.
Maz, the coaches we don't even know if the coaches are any good. They don't have a choice in how we set up and play. They are told what to do in training.
That's what I alluded to, right? I mean, it's more like he's employing robots to implement what he wants, and there's no liquidity in what they can do. And again, that is, in any walk of life, if there's any business creators here, or any people that have managed teams, or any people that have played in sport where you've managed football teams or other disciplines, you have to empower the people within, the backroom staff and the playing staff to be able to express themselves and when they identify problems, you act upon it, and there's a two-way dialogue. You can't have this system where Ange is the overlord and he's the only one that can make decisions, because there's no point having the coaching staff. It's like Daniel Levy, isn't it? There's no point him having Scott Munn there. Yeah, there's no point having Scott Munn there and Lange if they only do what Levy tells them to do, which is exactly what happens, right? This is why 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when no longer, blimey, 4 years ago, when I found out that Paratici was going into the dressing room, right, that Conte was in, I'm like, why is he going into that dressing room? Conte should be saying to him, F off. Fine, go in there every once in a while, right? And build a rapport. But you have to allow the management staff, and you have to empower them to make the decisions. When you've got other layers of management effectively overruling or influencing areas where they should allow creativity to happen, then the whole show becomes a shit show, basically, which is exactly what we see at Spurs. Everything is broken. Everything is broken because of the style of management that Levy and co have implemented at that club, and it's manifested into this weird crap manager that we have in Ange, where everything he's touched is absolutely broken in every metric possible. Right? It's I can't put it any blunter than that.
No, I agree with you. I mean,
can I just put
quickly
a point to that, Savva, quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I agree with everything you said there, Maz, apart from the Paratici bit. I agree with no, he shouldn't be going in there, but personally, I believe if Conte would have had an issue with that, he'd have told him to F off. The only one who could have walked in there and he'd have had to just suck it up is Levy. But you're right in what you're saying, but I personally think Conte would have told him.
I'm actually wrong. I mentioned the wrong person. It was Nuno that I heard that happening to, and I thought. Do you remember when Paratici and what's his face, the guy doesn't like signing players in the transfer windows, Hitched, right? Yeah. When they were on the sidelines, like yelling at the players or yelling at the refereeing decisions and stuff like that. That's fine every now and again, but I almost felt they undermined Nuno from the word get-go, and Nuno was sort of like a rabbit in the headlights, didn't know what the hell the power dynamic was at the club, and he just said yes to sort of everything. And so, yeah.
I mean, look, I think the key point you made there, Maz, was when you mentioned about what Ange said about not wanting leaders. Like, and that wasn't his exact words that he didn't want leaders, but he said there's two ways you can get them, right? And he said he wants to develop them. The problem is, how can you develop if you've got no one to learn from? That's like me going into any job, right? And on day one, them going, yeah, just do what you think. Well, hang on, is someone going to show me the ropes? You know, if you're going to develop a leader, you want to see other captains to look at. And I'm not saying you have to be the captain. Somebody made a great point. If you look at Arsenal, Declan Rice isn't the captain, but he is a captain. Yeah. Declan Rice was the captain of West Ham. He's captained England before. He's a leader. He's leadership material. Gabriel, a very vocal, respected player in that club. You look at Spurs, we don't have that anywhere on the pitch. And like you said, Maz, he decided that. He decided that he didn't want leaders. He didn't want.
We have no football experts in the club.
Agreed.
And that's why we're in the mess we're in. It's a horrendous mess at the club.
At least with a player like Harry Kane as captain, you could say he was a captain that, I mean, would he be my type of captain? No. But you could at least say he was a captain that led by example. You can't even say that Son can do that anymore. Now, if you take Son back a few years, then yes, maybe you can go lead by example. But I don't even think he can do that anymore. Whereas your ideal captain for me, again, is a Roy Keane or Patrick Vieira. I always use them two because they're two of my favourite players ever. Because as captains, they was aggressive. They was out loud. They was physical when needed to be. But they led by example to an extent as well. They always gave it their all on the pitch and everything. The only one who slacked on that most out of them two is probably Keane going and ruining someone's career in front of everyone. Isn't a good example. But my point is they always came on that pitch and give 110%, even if the team would have been 5-0 down. And they was vocal. They had the whole lot for me. Whereas Kane would be more the captain who just leads by example.
Sure. You see,
we just don't have that at the club, full stop.
We have one player who leads by example, who apart from one big injury has been fit for every single game.
Vicario.
And that is Vicario.
But he keeps his mouth shut when it comes to the pressure moments. As soon as that goes in the box, he shuts up.
No,
I kind of disagree here. I kind of disagree. I'm going to go against you two. I don't think it's Vicario. I think it's Maddison. I actually think it's Maddison.
Oh, Maz, have you come round to Savva's way?
I'm on board, mate. I'm on board. I'm on the Savva train now. right? No, look, I'm happy to change my mind on things based on the evidence I see in front of me, and I think there's been enough time that's played out this season to show me that Maddison isn't the problem. It's Angepostecoglou, and the sheer fact that Maddison comes on the pitch. And you can just see it. He is not a happy player, even when he's playing well. He is not a happy player. He's getting frustrated that people are crowding out his space. He's coming deep to get the ball because we've got no midfield. He's getting pissed off that people aren't making runs. He's getting pissed off at the lack of quality around him. He's getting pissed off at the manager because he never picks him or never plays him. He's getting pissed off that the manager subs him off early. I mean, the list is, I can just go on forever just listing the things that Maddison's getting pissed off at. But one thing I do see in Maddison, now I'm not saying he would be the best captain or leader, but the talent pool at the moment is so low that for me, he is actually the best captain or leader because he's got standards. And my biggest problem with Spurs, and I harped on about this, on the Tottenham away on a Monday night, is that if any of these players actually had standards, they'll be going into Daniel Levy and saying, transfer request, please get me out of here, because you have shown me nothing to say that Tottenham's going to do anything in the immediate future and in the long-term future at the club, just purely by your bad decision making. Now, I don't know what to say in those terms, but they'll be on the blower to their agent saying, get me out of here. If Romero stays, if Van de Ven stays, if Maddison stays at this club, then they're losers. They are losers because they're going to waste another 2 years of their career transitioning from one manager to another manager to, do you see what I mean? And look, Romero's wasted 4 years of his career at Spurs. Let's be honest. He has. He hasn't progressed as a player. This player, when he came from Atalanta, he should have had 2 or 3 good years with us and then moved to a bigger club if the stars aligned for him. But he hasn't. He's wasted his time. You could argue that this year for Vicario, I think he's a good goalkeeper, right? I think he's a very good goalkeeper. But stagnation for him. Has he progressed in this team? No, he's a firefighter now, right? Taking over that record-breaking amounts of shots, coming into him, game in, game out. Has Van de Ven improved this year? No, regression. Udogie, we've destroyed him as a player over 2 seasons, and his injury record it isn't good. I mean, you could Porro. He had a good first year under Ange, where he sort of adapted to the English way of playing, right? And I thought he was quite good last year. I thought he defended quite well at times. He read the game, better. This year's been an absolute disaster. Every player you go through, you see regression.
You know what? With Maddison, I can see where you're coming from there. The thing that would let me down there is I think he's a bit of an inconsistent player, even if we was at our best at most games. But he's a lot better than people give him credit for. But I wouldn't really want Maddison as my captain for the fact that I just think he's a bit too bitchy at times. I think he can be quite... He can just be... That's the word I can think of. He can just be a little moody at times. Like when it ain't going his way, he just starts huffing and puffing sort of thing. I wouldn't really class him as captain material. But I can understand what you're saying. He seems to be the only one that I think has confronted Ange. I think that's where the problem is, like between them two. And he is getting cheesed off, basically. The standards just aren't right, and he's not getting picked and everything else. But I just think Maddison's that little bit too bitchy for what I would want as a captain. But then, like you're saying as well, what other options do we really have? We're not exactly blessed with them, are we?
Dan, I think it will change. He'll be gone at the end of the season. I am absolutely convinced this manager will be gone. regardless of whether he wins the Europa or not. I think he'll be gone. And I think a new manager...
You can see him getting sacked if he wins it.
Yep. I think the guy is an absolute disaster. If we win it, by any small miracle, it will be in spite of him, not because of him. It'll be because there'll be moments during games where the team clicks, which we've seen. We've seen it against City twice, Villa. We beat Liverpool at home. That was still a decent result.
So it would be because of the players that we win it, not him.
Absolutely.
Right. So okay. Now let me throw a counter at you then. So the games we lose are down to the players, not Ange. You can't have it both ways.
No, Dan. I have said all along. I've been consistent. The problems we've got at Spurs, on and off the pitch. Well,
so the players are more of a problem than Ange, basically. You're basically saying
Levy, Ange, and the players. It's split right the way across. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that if the players get their shit together during a game, the system is crap. Players don't believe in the system. You can see it.
Yeah, but if you're going to grill him, if you're going to grill Ange for when it all goes wrong and the players don't play right, whatever else, you've then also got to give him the credit when the players play right and everything. This is basically what you're saying, how I'm taking it. And if we go and win that Europa Cup, whether it's a fluke or not, you can't just say well done to the players. You've got to say well done to Ange as well.
No,
because if we don't, I think he's terrible. Don't get me wrong, but you've got to give credit where credit's due. I think it would be as well. But
he's had it very, very easy up to now.
Yeah.
I think what Lubo is saying is, if we play, Lubo, tell me if I'm not right. Imagine we play like we did against Fulham, right? And the tactics stink. Like, in this Europa final, for example, the tactics stink. We're awful. But then somebody just produces one moment of magic. Are we then putting that down to Ange's in-game management? Are we putting that down to Ange's ability to coach a team? Look, if he wins the Europa League, I would say thank you very much for winning us a trophy. You've got the monkey off our back. However, I don't want to watch these tactics for 50 games a season. I can't watch this team play for 50 games a year, trophy or no trophy. He's killed the club for me. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy Spurs.
Ideally, we win the cup and he goes. But like I was just saying on my show before then, if he wins that Europa Cup, he's not going anywhere. Yeah, not at all. Because
I agree.
There'd be too many that turn on him, that turn on Levy again for sacking him as such. And in a way, if he does go and win that cup, have we had a bad season? Yes, we have in the league, but we've done something that we haven't done for how many years? Sure. And also winning the Europa, you could technically, if you really want to be a technicality, say, yes, we was crap in the league, but we still had a better season than Arsenal because we actually won something.
Sure,
like Man U did with them for 2 years.
Your theory.
Last bit I put to it.
Go on.
And if it meant that I had to keep Ange and put up with this crap for another season for us to go and win the Europa Cup, I'll do it. I'm not saying I'll enjoy it, but I'll do it. I don't think us as Spurs fans are in any position to say no to a cup.
Hang on.
I didn't say you said that. I didn't say you said that. I'm just saying in general.
But you're talking about two very different things. You're conflating two arguments. No one's saying no to a cup. I'm saying no to Ange. I'm all for. Listen, I'm all for going to win it. I keep seeing all these posts that are written about me in other chat rooms that Savva wants us to lose. Savva doesn't want us to lose.
No,
we're losing all by ourselves. Me saying anything doesn't mean anything, right? But let me apply that logic to Daniel Levy, right? If Spurs win the Europa League, yeah, does that mean that Daniel Levy should stay? Right? Does that mean that Daniel Levy has to get credit? Like it has to work both ways, right?
What it means, Sav, is that over 25 years, it's marginally less disastrous, his rate.
Yeah.
That's what it will mean.
Fair. And same with Ange, right? Same with Ange.
Yeah. No,
25 years, two in 25
ideally,
it's horrendous when Chelsea got 21 in 19.
Just devil's advocate. I fully agree with you.
Know that. It's like I was saying, I was just doing a show where my mate Dave and Mike jumped on, and it's a real tricky one. Would some people keep Ange out of moral? Like, okay, the league's been absolute dog shit, But we ain't just won a cup. We've won the Europa Cup, which is now actually a lot bigger cup than it was 3 years ago because you get in the Champions League, whatever else. And you could say he has achieved something that the club hasn't achieved in the past, 17 years and the past 40, 45 years, whatever it is. And personally, I think you'd have to give him, I say me personally, I'd have to give him another 6 months to see if he can change anything around. For going to win the Europa Cup, getting us in the Champions League comes with it anyway, but he would have done something there. And you can't just say well done to the players for it. It's got to go on the manager as well, because we're grilling the manager and everything. Do I want him to stay? No, I bloody don't.
And I agree.
If we go and win that Europa, yeah, if we go and win that Europa, then for me, ideally he'd still go, but he stays, basically.
If he wins it, he wins it. I just don't think that an easy cup run outweighs for me how bad he is as a manager. And this is the difficulty, right? Like, so far, this is the issue for me. If I look so far at this Europa League Cup run, which people are saying the only reason he's still in the job is because of the Europa League Cup run, what has he actually done in this Europa League Cup run? Like, what have we actually done? We've beaten some very, very poor football teams.
So, I agree.
I must tell you something. I don't think that's a fair way of looking at it. Liverpool beat Real Madrid 2-0 in a group match in October. Liverpool are out and Real Madrid are coming through. It doesn't matter what you've done previously. The fact is you're there.
No, I'm not saying.
You're in the last eight, and how he got there, Sav, how he got there doesn't really matter.
But that's not my point. My point is that when people are saying the reason he's still in a job is because of our really good cup run, I don't think it's a good cup run. Let's be brutally honest. If we weren't still in the Europa League right now, it would be utterly embarrassing with the teams that we played.
No question, he'd be gone. He'd be out.
Right. So for me, beating Alkmaar, Karabag, Ferencvaros, Elfsborg, that's not enough for me to go, you know what? Keep this manager. As I've always said, I would have brought in a new manager to see out the last 9 games of the season, bring some feel-good factor to the training ground, let the players go and play their game and say, God, you know what? Make yourself a hero in the last 10 games. But that's not happened. And Ange is here, and we all want to win the Europa League. But all I'm saying is he has to win this. If he doesn't, even if he gets to the final, if he doesn't win this, it's been a horrific season on all levels. On all levels, it's been horrific. So for me, Lubo, without winning it, the winning it for me keeps his job. For me, that's not, oh my God, look how great he is. That keeps him his job. That saves him from going down as one of the worst managers I've ever seen. And that's the fine line in football.
I agree. I agree with that. And it is just the thing of, would I put up with him for another season? If that would keep him his job, basically, that we win Europa, and that would keep him.
Sorry, Dan. No.
I'd put up with another crap season like that to win the Europa Cup.
I
know a lot of others wouldn't, but I would, because I'm that desperate as Spurs to bloody win something. If I have to have another crap season for it,
I'd do
it. It's sad, I know, but that is how desperate I am for this club to win something.
Can't watch another year of this. Can I ask, has anyone enjoyed anything about this year?
No.
The only plus points have been Spence Graham Bergveld. That is it.
I've not even enjoyed their performance. I've not enjoyed a single thing about Tottenham Hotspur this year. I've not enjoyed the selections, the tactics, the interviews, the press conferences. I've not enjoyed the performances.
Is it enjoyable? No, it's not particular. There's been very small parts of the season that I've enjoyed, but by and large, it's been awful. Can I just answer Chris Kendall in the comments, 1208. Claiming Levy has been a failure over 25 years is nonsense. Chris, if you are on the board of Levy's, of the club, and you are being paid £1 million a year, then no, of course, it's not a failure because you're earning a lot of money. But if you're a football fan, remember this is a football club. This isn't Levy's fiefdom. This is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. This is a great club with great history and traditions. And if Levy takes his money and walks away in the next few months, they will walk away. Him and Lewis will walk away with billions. And what has he left you and me? Sweet fuck all, apart from one League Cup. Just bear that in mind. Bear that in mind.
Okay, then let me play devil's advocate here.
Chelsea won 19 trophies. Liverpool, I think, have won 8 or 10. United have won 10 or 12. City have won 10 or 12 or 15. We've won 1. We're meant to be a big club. We never won 1 in 25 years before Levy came. Sorry. Read your history. Have a look at the history and tradition of this club. Then come back to me and tell me you
change that around, Ian. Change that around just for the devil's advocate a bit. Yeah, is if Levy leaves us, he's left us as the 8th biggest club in the world when we're actually the biggest underachieving club in the world. He's left us as possibly the most stable club in the world, one of the most stable clubs, should I say, who doesn't even have to finish high in the league to be able to look after themselves. We can technically go out there and spend pretty much as much money as anyone else on this planet and not get grilled for it. He's left us a world-class stadium. He's left us all the training facilities aground. He has left everything for us to now just have someone in who could focus on the football and make us one of the best things out there. So if you want to put it on two sides for us, on the football side of thing, the fella has done a terrible job. But then on the other side of things, he has left us as one of the biggest clubs on the planet through winning nothing. So the next people that come in, they just have to focus on the winning. And I'm just being devil's advocate with that, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
as much as anyone.
From certainly, he's developed the infrastructure of the club and the stature of the club in reference to how glamorous our training pitches and the stadium and stuff like that. But a lot of that was funding off the back of
Sky,
the fans and our history and Sky. But there's no denying that he's made good decisions, and you would expect that from him. That's what they are. They're a property business, right? However, I also think as well that Alan Sugar, let's not forget, he saved the club. Yes. And he made us financially sound from that. Even before Daniel Levy came, there was talk about us having a stadium share with Arsenal in the mould of Milan and Inter Milan. So there was always on the horizons that we were going to expand either the existing White Hart Lane or do something to do that. But Levy executed it, and you can't deny that. But you know, you say this argument, but where this argument for me falls down is when you say these things to Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, they say, "Okay, great, but you've not won anything." Oh, and we're football fans, and well, exactly, and you know, if we were playing who has the best stadium, who has the best diverse revenue game, right? Then we would be winners. But we ain't. That ain't the competition. Unfortunately for us.
I totally agree. I was just putting it on the other side that you can't say Levy has walked out and left us nothing.
Well, he has, but then
he has left us absolutely nothing. He has been terrible, and I want him out. But he has left the club in a stable state for when he leaves. On the business side, I don't think there's many better at the business than him when it comes to purely business, nothing to do with football. I think he's probably one of the best on the planet for the way he's done with Spurs. But on the football side, get him out. I want the fella gone as much as anybody, to the point I'll be there April the 6th, same as others and that. I want him out. But to turn around and say he has left us with nothing, that is purely speaking from a football side. And we all know what football is these days, Ian. Football is just as much of a business as it is a sport now.
Dan, he's left us nearly £1 billion in debt. That's what he's done. Yeah. 600 million overspend, and he brought the ground in 9 months late. Now, if you're working for someone, you're out of a job with that record. Sorry,
Not
not for me.
Not if it's written down.
That doesn't equal a great businessman. Sorry, mate. 600 million overspend. Do me a favour.
How would you go and get the stadium through your own back pocket? No, things like that you have to do with loans, unless you've got a trillionaire as an owner, basically.
The overspend because he was ripping up stone floors because he wasn't happy with it. He wanted absolute perfection. Now that's absolutely fine. That's fine. But sometimes you've got to be a little bit more pragmatic when you're spending money.
I agree with that totally. But you can't
say you didn't have to have a ground that was so fantastic and cost 1.2 billion. It could have been slightly less, cost 900 million, and and that leaves us 300 million.
If someone did buy us, they'd buy the stadium off anyway.
Well, who knows? Who knows?
We will get bought.
The stadium's not in the same. The stadium's not in the same limited company as the club.
Can I read this out? Just quickly, and first of all, you tight gets in the chat. We're one subscriber away from 16.9k. One. And we haven't had one all show. So please smash that subscribe button. Please subscribe to Tottenham Away and to the Hotspur Hood as well. Before this season started, guys, I actually compiled all this information, and I don't get rid of my information. In the time that Daniel Levy has been at Tottenham, right? Sorry, in the Premier League era, right? This is Tottenham in the Premier League era. So this isn't just with Levy, but 2 trophies for Tottenham, right? Arsenal have 13 major trophies and 9 charity shields. So they've got 22. Liverpool have got 17 major trophies and 3 charity shields. They're on 20. United have 29 major trophies and 11 charity shields. So they're the best in the Premier League era with 40 trophies. Chelsea have got 24 trophies and 3 charity shields, 27. And Man City have got 20 trophies and 3 charity shields, 23. When you average that out, Spurs average a trophy every 15.5 years, right? And the others have a 26.4 trophies average between them. Just let that sink in.
It's terrible.
Let that sink in. So if we want to talk about stadium infrastructure, all the things that I don't give a shit about because I don't live at the stadium. If Daniel Levy had done up my house for me, if Daniel Levy had done up my house, give me £1 million renovation, I'll love him to death. But when people go, look at the stadium, don't care. Look at the training ground, don't care. So from a structural perspective, Nick, he hasn't failed, and that's all well and good. And people go, look where we were when he joined. But if you actually look at that, Stell's got this, hasn't he? He's got the averages of the 20 years with, 24 years with him, without him, 28 years before that. It's like 1 or 2 league places higher. Trophies are down. Everything else is down. So where are you with this, Nick?
He killed us.
Are we in a better place since he came in? Are we not?
Off the pitch, yes. On the pitch, no. Because if you go, big up to everyone. I'm not sure if I'm going to get say enough that I get myself on a video. Danny can't do that, but everyone else can. So I don't know about that. But I think we would be silly to sit there, and I know obviously Sean would say the same thing. In the fact that off the pitch everything is hunky dory, but on the pitch it's not. And I don't think Levy doesn't go for a long time, because until he's completed everything that he wants to do in terms of that gentrification of Tottenham, right? Because we've seen what he wants. We've seen what what came out a few weeks ago. We don't call it Tottenham. We don't. It's not Tottenham. It's Spurs. It's Tottenham Hotspur. Do you know what I mean? So when they've redeveloped everything across the road from the stadium, when they've built the hotels, when they've put the swimming pool and the leisure centre and the rock climbing and everything else in, that's probably the time that enough will be enough. But until that time, I genuinely don't think he's going to go anywhere unless someone says, we'll just buy the football side of it. You can stay in charge of all the separate holding companies, right? But, you can't, I don't think you can knock him in terms of in terms of, I mean, you look at Villa, what are they, 96%, 98% spent of their revenue. I mean, they're if they carry on, they're going to be in, they're going to be in trouble, so to speak, in terms of sales. We're nowhere near that. We're probably not even 50% of that compared to the revenue.
40%, Nick.
Yeah. So we need to see more. Look, we're not sitting there and all of a sudden thinking. I'm speaking for myself here, I don't know what everyone else thinks. I don't think we realise that we're going to sit there and spend £1 billion and do what Chelsea did, and we're going to be competing and doing all these things in the next 2 years, because we're not. But it would be nice to be in it would be nice to be in that conversation where, we've got a chance. But at the moment, we're so far off having a chance. In Europa, everyone is clinging, I guess, through hopium that we're going to do something in Europa. But I don't see us getting past Frankfurt, if I'm honest.
Barry, I think there's one thing that I think, not that I disagree with you in the premise of what you're saying, but I think we need to be careful when we mention it. Is when we start saying, oh, well, Aston Villa, because got a ice cream van or something going by.
I thought it was a little ice cream van.
It's like an ice cream van all of a sudden turned up. I was just going to drop the mic and run out and go, yay, ice cream. Right, anyway, when we say Aston Villa have got, I think, is it 92 or 96% of their turnover going towards player salaries? Yeah. A lot of big business will take on debt during a window of opportunity. So when as a crude example, when you're going in for an RFP and you put your proposal forward, some companies will start recruiting the staff way before they've even won the contract.
Yeah.
So Aston Villa have seen an opportunity where they're like, we're on the cusp here of breaking into that top four and really achieving something. Therefore, as a company, we're going to invest heavily into uplifting the players and the players' salaries to try and achieve that goal. That doesn't automatically mean that they're going to be in financial trouble, because what they can then do, if that doesn't work out, is say, right, we'll sell some of our player assets and lower that wage bill. A bit like what Tottenham done. In one season, we dropped it by 35 million with getting rid of crappy players. So we just need to be careful when we mention that, because just because other clubs operate in a different model doesn't mean that they're just going to disappear as a club. Because the way that Leeds disappeared, from the top division when they struggled, is completely different to how Aston Villa and Liverpool and Man United and all that sort of operate as a club.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, I just, I mean, obviously it's to use that comparison, I guess, in terms of what we're, in terms of everything else. But I think, I don't think there is anything that we can do in terms of carrying on with this manager. I mean, even the Man City result, I don't know about you guys. I mean, even when we went 2-0 up, I was still thinking we're gonna find a way to screw this up, right? And I haven't enjoyed this season. I'm not renewing my season ticket. It just doesn't. The only positive thing has been the last few weeks is the international break, right? Because we haven't got Tottenham to worry about. But
Well, there you go. Just coming back, Chris, coming back to your last comments, we used to be one of the big five in the 80s, and when Spurs were part of the big five when we helped negotiate the Sky deal that came through in 1992. So we've always been part of the big five. At the time, that was with United, Arsenal, Liverpool and Everton. So we are not part of the big five anymore.
Just to expand on what I'm saying, another thing that you'll hear as well is that okay, Daniel Levy's left us in a healthy position whereby, you know, we're 8th on the Forbes list and we're a really well-run club. And, you know, we say we're profitable. Actually, I looked at the last 5 years of their accounts, and we've been making losses for 4 of those. Well, for 5 of those 6 years that I looked at. So I know they're writing down their assets and debt, but even so, that can't be good, and that's not a long sustainable model. But Daniel Levy has got a very low risk appetite. But what I find bizarre for Daniel Levy is him taking a punt on Postecoglou and his backroom staff. So that's a high risk punt as well. And then not terminating it when it started to go wrong. Because he's taken low risk punts, i.e. Conte and Jose Mourinho, and they are low risk because they're proven winners and they're not going to get you relegated, let's be honest, or get you in the bottom half of the league. But yet he was quick to get rid of them. But with Ange, he's done the complete opposite. And I find that bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
Maz, if he gets rid of Ange, he's got to get rid of Munn, because Munn brought Ange to the club.
Yeah, but I mean, how much is Munn on in comparison to Ange? Munn probably earns less than Ange.
I don't know. I've no idea.
You know, I mean, changing upper layers of management for a club like Tottenham is easy. You know, you pay them off, put them on gardening leave. You say you haven't done well at your job, you manage them out of the club, right? And I think Munn's come in for other reasons. So if Ange goes, that doesn't necessarily mean that Munn will go. If he's looking after different,
he's not.
If he's got different responsibilities.
No, his title is Chief of Football Operations.
Yeah, but operation. Okay. Well, then his acquisition. Then, so was it Munn that brought in Lange?
Yes, I think it was. I think it was, because
and was it Munn then that got rid of that Italian chap who was left over?
Well,
then his performance also dictates that he needs to go. Then, doesn't it? I mean, this is what happens in big corporates. You see changing of executives, directors, and vice presidents, etc., depending on where you are in the world, all the time. That happens all the time. The board makes a decision, they're not doing their job, right, and they go. But for some reason at Spurs, Daniel Levy rewards failure.
Well, listen.
So do our fan base.
But Maz, this just comes back to where we are as a club. This is a football club. Fine, to sell it, to take their profit and bring in new owners, it's the best turnkey operation in the Premier League, because you've got a stadium that's there, done and dusted, and you've got a training ground as well. But otherwise, that's it. That is it. But
even when you remove the football element away from this, Lebo, right? Daniel Levy, he's grown the balance sheet, right, and he's grown the revenue. But in terms of profitability, now you could say profitability in comparison to the other clubs we've done well, but that hasn't translated into football success. So the only people benefiting are effectively the shareholders, and the major shareholders is Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis. Correct. Now, from a company and a brand perspective, that's not necessarily good, because the customers don't support the balance sheet; they support success. Now, when you go, let's take a company like, I don't know, Microsoft as an example, right? The fans that like Microsoft, let's say Xbox, the fans that like Xbox, all they care about is, are they going to release a good console, and are they going to get the best publishers and developers to make good games? If they don't do that, they couldn't give a toss if Microsoft is posting billions of pounds of profit, right? And then
that's what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, and does that make Xbox a good brand? Not at the moment, it doesn't. They're in a disastrous position, right? So So this argument where it comes when the online accountants try and put a spin that Tottenham, because our balance book is great, we should be really pleased with it, is a nonsense, because we're the consumers of the service, and the service is football, right? And football is shit at Spurs. Therefore, Daniel Levy is doing a bad job.
Yep.
I mean, Maz, what you're saying there, yeah, I totally get the point you just made. If you made it like that on purpose, like that with Microsoft at the moment, like what they're doing is they have basically destroyed themselves, because the fans of what they make and that have had nothing decent for about 5 or 6 years, and they're just not buying it anymore and everything else, to the point that they're going to have to sell that side of what they do with Xbox and that. They're not going to do it anymore. Basically, the fans don't like it and they've had enough.
Well,
Same with
I used it on purpose, Dan. Well, exactly, Dan. I've used that analogy on purpose.
Yeah, I didn't know whether you was making it specifically because of that part. And you're totally right on what you're saying, 100% right. And they've nearly lost it for that. But the difference is with our lot is it gives us the biggest pile of crap out there, like he has done. And we will still turn up. I say we, as in Spurs supporters, will still turn up and spend the money. Whereas the problem Xbox has got is no one wants to.
But that's the same. Okay, so let me give you another analogy, right? Let me give you another analogy, right? Like BP, yeah, right. They're looking now to dissolve their green energy side of the business, right? Because it's not making them money; it's costing horrendous. You know, they're losing hand over fist at the moment, right? During COVID, all the oil companies were making billions and billions and billions of pounds of profit, right, off the back. Now, the reason why that was a problem was because they've got a captive market. People need oil. You can't, let's say, survive, for a lack of a better terminology, without it, right? And it's just sort of the same thing with Tottenham. In a crude sense, you've got fans that can't just leave the club. You can't just, I mean, you can, but it's not, you know, very well looked upon if you stop supporting Tottenham and then you go and start supporting another club full time. So it's very tribal. So the fact that we can't leave the club is, or we still go and pay the money to see our club. It's like saying, well, you know, it's your dad's your dad, your mum's your mum. You're always going to love them to a certain degree, hopefully, right? And there's always going to be that blood connection. It's the same with the club. You can't just stop supporting your club. You can't just say, no, I don't want to watch football anymore.
If they agree with you.
Well, yeah, I know. You can always find examples, but you get the overarching point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, no, Maz, the way I describe it is
brand loyalty. Dan, the brand loyalty has, the Spurs fans are a fantastically loyal group. And the brand loyalty has been massively abused by these owners over the last 24 years in every single way, to do with tickets, you know, the communication regarding everything. I mean,
but who let it happen?
Sorry?
Who's let it happen?
Well, how do you stop it, Dan? How'd you stop it?
Well, who let it happen? The fans. We did nothing when Levy was totally screwing this place over left, right, and centre, which he still is.
Yeah.
And still basically have only just started doing something. What's happened in other companies around the world, I totally get what Matt was saying, is people have finally turned around and said, we've had enough. We ain't buying your crap anymore. And they've just had one of the biggest turnovers, like biggest screw ups ever of what he was saying. Same as other companies that have literally had to shut down because they're like massive companies that are literally shutting down because people have said, you know what, you keep making crap, we ain't buying it anymore. Now, I totally get the point of being a Spurs supporter. The way I relate it is to my daughter. She's 19 and I've always loved her, but when she was about 13 to when she was about 16, I couldn't stand her. I didn't like her, but I still loved her and I still done everything for her. Same as like Mazzy saying in the aspect of you love Spurs, but you don't like it. But we are partly in the position we're in, I feel, because the supporters let it happen.
In what way? I'm not 100% disagreeing with you, but in what way do you think we let it happen?
by basically doing nothing about it and doing what other clubs have done. If we was really that much united as a bunch of Spurs supporters, we would have had not. I'm trying to think of the right. We would have already been having protests a long time ago, proper protests. There'd have been a lot of people stuck together. But where Spurs fans are so split and everything else, we've literally just let him do what he wants and done nothing about it. Whereas, apart from a very few amount, whereas other clubs, look at what Newcastle did for how long to get the fella out. Have we seen anything of the sort at Tottenham? No, we've seen one good protest since he's been here, and that was the last one. The other ones were lucky if you had 100 or 200 there, which is nothing compared to this one. The Spurs fans have let this happen to their club, and they will still buy the crap. And we do.
So let me also, Dan, look, I agree with you and disagree in the same way. Right, listen, for me, I think it's funny that when Levy was talking about building the stadium that would allow us to compete, that so many fans truly believed that was the case. I actually find that funny when I look back now, just because of the amount of shit people like me got on, people like me. Anyway, for the shit that I got on like X and Facebook and Instagram at the time, people going, you're just negative. Wait till the stadium's built. You'll see. Deep down, surely we all knew nothing was going to change, because I take everybody back to that statement that he made in Lubo will know better than me. Was it 2000, 2001, when he actually made the statement of that it wasn't about football. He said that, it's not about the football. It's about the finance within sport.
It went under the radar, didn't it? Completely went under the radar.
Right. So when people like me and Stel, and I didn't know Stel then, but on X, I knew who he was. When we were bringing up the comment going, guys, look, this is what the owners said. He's not building this stadium for us. Stop thinking that he's building this for us to win things. He's building this to create the ultimate sports entertainment company and to make money, the be all and end all. So with that in mind, Dan, when do you think protests should have started? Bless me. Didn't get to the mute in time. Sorry. Dan, when should the protests have started, in your opinion?
It all depends on what you believe, basically. I mean, we all know we're going to look at different things in different ways. But when everyone could blatantly see after 15 years that his intentions was elsewhere, and there was a lot of people already complaining about it, still nothing got done.
But we were second. We were third in the table down 15 years later with Poch. That was a year Leicester won the league.
The point I'm making is we still won nothing. We haven't won nothing. And people, especially after Poch, is when they started really going down on him. So many people have said that they're Levy out, this and that, and they have been for 6 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever. Where have they all been?
Good point.
Where have you been, Ian? Where have you been?
Well,
how long have you been Levy out?
I've been shouting about Levy since 2007, Dan. I just haven't done it on YouTube or on Twitter because I was late on social media. But
just playing devil's advocate when I say this, still having a season ticket.
Yeah, of course, because I love my club and I was there before Levy and I'll be there, please God, after Levy. He's not pushing me out of my club.
But you're still giving him money.
So what do? Give up following the team?
That's what the TV's there for, isn't it?
Well, is it?
Well, I don't know. What do you watch on there?
Not if you want to go home and away and follow your team. The TV's there to help when I can't go and see them.
No, I totally get what you're saying. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
blatantly. Not. I totally understand why people keep their season ticket because they say that.
But for anybody Dan, for anybody talking about the financial side, I'm a shareholder. I've never seen a dividend, ever. I don't even get notified. I don't even get notified as a shareholder when the club announce events. I don't even get the figures. I don't even get the company accounts, the yearly company accounts, finalised company accounts. As soon as they're sent to company's house, as a shareholder, we don't even get them emailed to us.
My point is basically that when other clubs wanted things done, the fans turned up. Man U didn't even like their shirt, and 10,000 people turned up and got the shirt bloody changed.
You're
Our
100%
fans
correct.
are so divided, yeah. So you can say that a lot of this, the way the club is now, is down to the fans because they didn't unite and didn't. Even the ones who did agree with Levy out and everything for so long, still didn't unite and do anything about it. Only a very, very small percentage did. Newcastle went on and on and on for years, and they finally got what they wanted. Some are saying he was going to do it anyway, but either way. Arsenal, they went and got what they wanted in the end, to the point they was having punch-ups with each other and then said, hang on a minute, what we doing? And then united and got what they want out of it. What have Spurs done? Turned up to one basically protest that was brilliant in 25 years he's been here, when some people are saying they wanted him gone 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, yeah? So you can say that the fans we've done nothing.
Right. Dan, you're 100% correct. The passion for getting these owners out compared to what happened 25 years ago with Sugar is pathetic.
Yeah.
Is pathetic.
They got what they wanted through doing that, didn't they?
And there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Well, there is an excuse. I'm going to be fair. There is an excuse. I mean, there was progression, right? Like, so after his first 5 years of fucking up, he brought, Martin Jol through a stroke of luck, managed to rebuild the team and get us challenging for those top 6, top 5 places. Then Harry Redknapp came in and took us a step on, and then Pochettino came in. So there was clear progression. So whilst I'm on your side, Ian, of the argument that where the fans should have put up protests and opposition to certain things much louder and quicker to force the club to behave differently. I think one of the reasons why it's taken so long for fans to see what's really happening and join us on this journey is because Levy did progress the team in certain aspects, not in the winning things, but in league placings, during a large period of time. Now, on average, it hasn't worked out that way, because when you compare it in 20-year stints, we're near enough finish exactly the same as what we were doing before. But in this couple of decades period, a large proportion of that was an upward trajectory on that, and that's why I think there's a lot of fans couldn't see what we've been seeing.
Can I listen? I just want to read a couple of super chats quickly because I've got quite behind on them. And by the way, you tight gets 400 of you in here. One to get to 16.9k. Is that one or 101 if you're feeling generous to get to 17k? Super chats. Renugan Kumar, big up to you. I said Ange is ruining Son. Better tactics is the solution. I think there's probably some truth in that. I also do think we need to acknowledge that Son is losing a bit of pace. He is slightly declining. I think there's probably, a foot in both camps there, Renugan. But big up to you. Thank you very much for that. Anthony Clark's coming with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Anthony. Always appreciate you. Thank you. The Neat has come in and said the reason Ange is in the job is because no one else wants it. I don't believe that for 1 second, Vinny, I'm afraid. But the damage he's doing by regressing players far outweighs any benefit of keeping him. Look, first and foremost, Vinny, we're Tottenham Hotspur. Managers will join us. I've said this all along. I hear this every time we get rid of a manager. I hear that no one wants to join us. We always get managers. We've had some really, really good managers. But I agree with you. He can't coach, so all of the players are regressing under him. So I agree with that. Aris just coming in with a massive super sticker. Thank you very much, Aris. I really, really appreciate you as always, my friend. I hope you are and the family are well. And Blaine has come in. Big up to you, Blaine. Always very generous. Big up, Blaine. And said, big up, Savva on the panel. Was able to actually celebrate something football-related last night. Come on, the boys in green. Big 2-1 win away. It felt weird. Is this what it's meant to feel like? When we're getting to the stage that Spurs have been so bad that we're now basing it against Ireland. You've got to have a word with yourself. But big up, Blaine. Really appreciate you, my man. Guys, look, I wanna move away from Levy Enoch for a minute. Right, I want to move away from that. We know what it's like, and just for those people who always say, "Oh, Savva hates Ange more than Levy." No. I think they're both on par. I've got no problem. They're both on par. I'll talk about both of them in the same way. I want to talk about Rodrigo Bentancur. We, as a club, we talk about holding. Actually, before I do, Alex, you wanted to say something, didn't you? Sorry. Am I right in saying that you wanted to come on? You wanted to, I think you wanted to banter Danny on something.
I said it on the stream earlier, and I do hear your point, Dan. I do think you're thinking too much, though. I've got to be honest, because for me, I think it's a clear argument. I think it's a clear argument for me, right? You're allowed to have your own opinion, right? Because I respect your opinion. You know that already, yeah. But for me, right, if he wins Europa League, we'll give him a Blue Peter badge, one. Right, we'll celebrate. We'll go all to the soccer event. Yeah, you lot can have a drink. Well, I can't say that, Savva, can I? Sorry, Savva, because I know you're sort of covering from that. But you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, right. Right, and he will be the most successful manager. Yeah, language-wise, successful manager in the last 2 decades. Facts. Yeah, that's fact. The problem is that we need to have a conversation still, because the same scenario you had this season. I do apologise to the people that have heard this before, by the way. I do apologise because I am repeating myself. Right. Right. But the same scenario we had this season with Europa League, right, will be in the Champions League next season. And we have the same excuses saying he can't train. Right. And do not tell me he's going to get Champions League players, because in the history, we don't get Champions League players. Right. Okay. And if we're going to have the same argument saying, he should stay, right? Tell that to Chelsea fans that kept Di Matteo winning the Champions League, and they were lucky to win that Champions League. And look what happened at the middle of the season.
Right. He went, didn't he?
I'll answer your question then, Alex. Yeah, I mean, Champions League's got absolutely nothing to do with what I said, really, except you get it everywhere. I know we're not going to win the Europa Cup. The whole point of the show I did was it's more of a bit of a, how shall I put it? If he wins that Europa Cup, he's staying. Do we all agree on that, or do people still think he'll get sacked?
I still think there should be discussion. I think he'll stay by default. Yes. By default, yes. Right. Yes,
I'm not saying what we believe. I'm not saying whether we have a discussion should he stay with that. Yeah. So, but everyone does agree if he wins the Europa, he will stay. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right. Yeah, so my question was: would you rather we lost the Europa and he goes? Because if he loses the Europa, I think he's gone, hopefully. Or would you rather we won the Europa and we'd have to put up with him staying? It's quite a simple question, really.
How long?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't own the club. I'm not.
No, I know, but
Daniel Levy.
But for your hypothetical, give me a how long. Like if you said he's going to be 3 months into next season, cool. If you said I've got to stick with him for another 3 seasons, I'd rather not win it.
I totally get what you're saying. Who knows when it comes to it? The point I'm making is basically, would I put up with this crap for another season to win the Europa? Yes, I would. But the point I'm saying is we're in a sort of question of if he does win it, which I'm 99% sure we won't, but no one can tell me for a fact we won't.
Yeah, sure.
If he does win it, he's staying. If we don't win it, he goes. So what do you want to do? Do you want to win the cup and he stays for however long Levy keeps him, which I don't know will be, or would you rather we just lost the Europa Cup so that he can disappear? That was the game I was playing, basically.
I'll give you 2 answers, because the thing is, I would say
there's only one answer,
no.
Mate.
I know, but I'll give you a reason why I say this. Right? I know, but the reason why I'll give you, because the reason why I'm saying this, the reason why, because I'm trying to give you an idea where my thinking is, right? Okay, I'll say no, because I can't see any more of this anymore, and I just don't see him developing the team any further. I would say yes, because I want to see a trophy on the basis he learns from what he learned from this season, right? And he adapts and tries to develop and trying to change and develop himself as a coach to say, well, I got things wrong this season. So for me to be better this season, I need to look at myself and change a little bit, right? Change a little bit of my tactics a little bit to develop the team further, right? If he's learning from what his mistakes last season, I'm willing to say,
Alex,
cool. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, mate, but what's that got to do with the time of day?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying this. That's my angle at the moment.
It's a simple question. It's a simple question. No one believes.
No.
I don't think we can win this cup. Yeah, I don't think we got a chance. But there's that 1% out of a billion who knows, like you win the lottery. Yeah,
but Dan, we agree with this one,
right? So basically, if we win the Europa Cup, we're all agreeing that we pretty much know he's going to stay, whether we want him gone or not.
Yeah,
if
fair enough.
Win the Europa Cup, there's a lot higher chance that he's gone at the end of the season. So what do you want to do? Would you want to win the Europa Cup and he stays for however long Levy keeps him? Or would you rather we didn't win the Europa Cup, knowing that there's a very good chance he'll then get the sack?
I'll say no. I'll say no. If I'm really honest, I'll say no. I'll say no.
It's opinion. Fair enough. It's only opinion. That's all I was asking.
But from what I'm saying at the moment, though, if the scenario is he stays, right? Okay, fair enough, he stays. But what I want to see is that he learns from what he's done from this season, learning from the mistakes he's made, right?
He's not going to learn nothing, mate.
and if he hasn't done that, well, sorry, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore because the thing is,
but then you wouldn't know if he's learned or adapted until 6 months into the next season.
Well, fair point. This is the thing. This is where we're gonna have to wait and see, don't we? But I'm just saying.
So now you've just contradicted yourself because you've just said no, you wouldn't want to win it.
No. I'm just giving you another. No. I gave you my answer. I'm just giving you another scenario here, right? What I want to see from him next season, right, going forward. That's what I'm saying at the moment. I'm answering your question. No,
but isn't this? This is a good point, guys. Isn't this? We're all assuming that if we get knocked out of the Europa League, right, that this manager goes.
I agree with you.
I've got this awful feeling eating away at me that even if we go out, that this clown is going to be in charge of this club next season. I've just got this horrible, horrible feeling. Can anyone else see that, or is there no way he survives?
No, I can see that as well.
He's gone. He's lost the dressing room. He has gone. Let me tell you something. You can, based on how we play,
you can see it.
Do you know what?
You can see it. These boys are not interested. They're not interested, Alex.
Spencer's
not interested.
The situation he's in, Ian.
Spencer's backed him how?
Look at the results.
No, I'm just saying he's come out and said he backs the manager. It's not me. That's not me saying it. He said it.
These players are better. They are better than how they're performing. We are going to finish 16th or 17th if Wolves catch us. Do you think Levy's going to look at that at the end of the season, whether we've won a trophy or not, and look at that league position and think, well, fantastic. So it's cost me 38 million in positional money. So the money that we earn from the group stages has been wiped from the Champions League, has been wiped out. So we're talking financial because that's the only language Levy knows. And what are sponsors going to say? We finished 16th, 17th. They're going to be looking at this. They want to be part of a successful club. This is not they are not building a successful football club. Everything Angepostecoglou is doing the opposite to building up a great football club.
When has Levy ever been bothered about? Then we go back to what we were talking earlier. When has Levy ever been bothered about building a great football club? Right. The point I'll give with this one is I personally think that if we don't win the Europa, it'll be here till the end of the season and he's gone. But I do also believe there is a chance he stays because there is still too many of the Ange in at the moment. I think it's gone to about 65-35 sort of thing, but there's still plenty there. Now, he's also got a lot more Levy outers on his case than he ever has done. That's where 2,000 people turned up and it showed last time. But he's in a bit of a catch-22, which is quite amusing because if he then goes and sacks Ange end of the season or now, he's still got all the Levy haters against his back. But he's then just turned another load of people on his back who, for some strange reason, love off Ange all the way. And about the only thing he's got that could possibly save his ass with those fans is if he brought Poch back in. Levy's in a right catch-22. So will he actually hang on to Ange because there's enough people who still love Ange for whatever reason, and it was not Ange's fault, it was this, it was that, it was the whole world, but nothing to do with Ange, and put up with that side? Or does he get rid of Ange and then he's also got another load of the left side onto the right side as such? I don't think it's impossible that he keeps Ange. And plus, another thing is, I don't think I've ever seen a manager take it so hard for the chairman. I mean, seriously, the way that Ange takes it for the way that Ange,
Levy doesn't care.
That's not what I'm saying.
Let's keep it
basically standing in the way Ange is. The way Ange stands, but it is about Alex, because it's about him.
No, I hear you.
If he's basically a bulletproof vest for Levy, which he basically has been, why is Levy going to chuck him?
Yeah,
I think he will on the football side. I think he will.
Dan, if we finish 16th, 17th, and there is no Europe next season, then it's been an absolute disaster. And nobody, not even the Ange supporters, can turn around and complain when Ange goes.
Yeah,
but
they will.
And they will. They will,
though. They're
still defending him now.
You've got too many like Matt in the chat that want him to have 3 to 5 years playing this football. And
exactly.
Do you know the thing that frustrates me? And I get
there's loads of them.
I get Alex's point. I think the point Alex made to Danny was brilliant, but not at the right time, if I can. So I think the point you made was good, but it wasn't actually a retort to Dan's point. Right?
Yeah,
if I saw that this manager, right, throughout this season, if I saw that he went, this ain't worked, I'm going to do this. If I saw that he went, Porro always being out of position is where teams hammer us, and he addressed that, I'd go, okay, you're learning. Okay, you're learning. Okay, you've got a number 6 now, you're learning. Okay, I would be saying, you know what? Cool. Right? I might not like it, but cool. He's learning, he's adapting. Problem is, guys, whoever you speak to, fans that have followed him in Scotland, Australia, Japan, they all tell you he will not change. Look at Mark Bosnich. He gave that interview, didn't he? Mark Bosnich, where he said, I spoke to Ange a decade ago, and I said, if you ever get a job in the Premier League, you can't be doing this. And Ange said, this will work anywhere. And Mark Bosnich said, if he's not learned by now, he's not learning. And this is the problem. Exactly. We're led to believe from the Ange fans that this isn't on Ange. This is on Levy. This will change. This isn't on Levy. There's a lot on Levy, but what we're seeing on the pitch tactically, Daniel Levy, as far as I'm aware, is not on the training ground, right? Putting the cones out, doing the drills,
the style of play
to play further up the pitch. So we can dig at Daniel Levy for bucket loads over 24 years.
So I've got to shoot, but he's watching it. Levy's watching this week after week.
That's where I was.
And as a boss, whether he's on the training pitch or not, if that side of the business is failing badly and is in free fall, then it is his responsibility as the boss. He runs it. Forget the fact that he's 30%, Lewis is 70%, give or take, of the shares they own. Levy runs it. He has virtual autonomy on a day-to-day basis. If he doesn't get rid of somebody who is failing badly in his business, then the more they fail, the more that is down to him.
Then a quick one before you go. Then, if people like you,
he'll be relegated. If he stays next, he will get relegated.
But then Levy will look at it on the business side, and if people like you are still buying season tickets, I'm just using you as an example, playing devil's advocate, still buying season tickets, and 80,000 still waiting for season tickets, more revenue coming into that club than ever down at the shop down at the bottom and everything. Why the hell is he going to care when he's got a bulletproof vest standing in front of him? Well, season ticket holders like you
because
so much and everything.
I must go. But can I just answer Dan? Sorry, I've literally got to shoot.
I was just playing devil's advocate, Ian.
No. Can I just say that of 80,000, I think it's more like 40 or 50. These are members who are paying £45 a year. that is not necessarily a season ticket waiting list, although season tickets that become available, people get picked from that list. A lot of it. Someone I know I spoke to 2 years ago after the Stellini Mason debacle with Conte, at the end of that year, someone got their season ticket. They were 30,000 plus on the list.
Yeah,
and
I was.
They got offered a season ticket. So because there's 30,000, or because there were 30,000 before, it doesn't mean that 30,000 season tickets have got to become free and be taken by everybody else before this guy gets. Most people are on there just to pick up tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Like you called, Dan. You called him the other day. You want to go to the odd game, you've got to be a member with a CRN number to get on. That's it. You've got no interest. I wouldn't have thought of getting a season ticket.
So if 10,000 people walk out and say, right, there's my season ticket, screw you, Levy, will there be 10,000 season tickets?
Yes. It's a good question. It's a good question. It's
I'll tell you why. So it's not even a question.
Good question.
Yes.
It's a good question because life is tough for a lot of people financially at the moment. There is a cost of living crisis, and prices at Spurs are exceptionally high.
And yes, and there's a lot that I haven't got a problem either. There's no in the middle at the moment.
Sure.
It seems to be one end or the bloody other. My
Okay.
point is, there will still people.
For a family of four to go to a Spurs Arsenal.
Ian just said 30,000.
For a family of four to go to a Category A game.
It's bloody stupidly expensive.
£436 before transport, food, programs, parking. It's a fortune. It is a fortune.
Ian, but if 10,000 people drop their season ticket and said "screw you, Levy," would those 10,000 season tickets that just got dropped up get snapped up by, let's say, 2 weeks?
I don't know. I got a call the other year because I went along before the ground was built. I went along with a friend of mine who actually bought corporates. So we went along and saw the corporate thing. And funny thing, they want people to sign up for 3 years. Now I got a call a couple of years in asking me if I wanted, because they were short. They didn't sell out all the corporate last season.
I don't know. It's just a question I was asking.
It's a lot of money. It's 40,000 for the H Club and the Tunnel Club now. 40 grand, 30 grand just to get on the list, and 40 grand times 2, because in the Tunnel Club there are 104 seats and there are 52 opportunities because each person has 2 tickets. It's mad. The prices are massively high.
Yep.
We are paying for Michelin star, and we are getting KFC. I've got to go. See you guys.
Take care, mate.
See you guys. Have a good day, everyone.
Take care, Lubo. I mean,
Lubo's got something against KFC. I mean, next to be saying Chick King or something. I mean, don't get him started, because Alex will have a problem then. It would be chasing him down the road like he was Ali Gold.
Look, guys, it's just what's funny is we've always got something to talk about as Spurs fans, but look, I do want to move it on to, and I only want to go for another 10-15 minutes or so. I want to move it on to, we've talked a lot about the standards at this club and keeping players too long, being too loyal, blah, 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 blah. And guys in the chat, Matt, relax. Everyone else, relax. Matt, stop. I'm seeing people attacking other people's nationalities. I don't care whether any of you are from Timbuktu or Mars. Don't care. We're Spurs fans. Just leave it at that, guys. Please, please. I'm seeing lots of reports these last 2 weeks that Rodrigo Bentancur is going to sign a new contract. Guys, for me, just me, I think that completely sums up everywhere where we are as a football club. The fact that we're going to sign him up again after 4 years of being at the club, always injured, suspended, issues off the pitch, performances on the pitch not great. Am I being harsh here, or surely don't we look for better? Don't you move him on and look for better?
So we're taking Juventus rejects, and we're going to sign give a new contract to this Juventus reject.
100%, Alex. I can confirm that is 100% happening. Based on
so that just sums up why people, when people have a go at me about Berval, right? Don't have a. I was right about that. Why we should have kept Højbjerg, and I'm embarrassed by saying that now, because Højbjerg was, I would take him all day long, right? yeah, hindsight's a beautiful thing. I'm sorry, it's just like I said before, right? I don't want to hear the excuses for Sissoko, because Sissoko, I thought Sissoko was better than him. He did more. He's done more than this Juventus reject. Dembele's streets ahead of him. Right, I take Stefan Freund before him as well, because I mean he was more of a leader. You know what I mean? Yeah, Sherwood. You know what I mean? So the list goes on. We're just making mistakes every single time. It's a big mistake, massive mistake. It's like the whole thing with Son. Son, let's be honest here, right? It's only done well in moments. The only reason why he looked very, very good is because of Harry Kane and Dele Alli and Ericsson. That's it. Bentancur was only looking good because of bloody Højbjerg. What was the best partnership he was in at Tottenham? It was under Conte with Bentancur, with Højbjerg. That was his best partnership. That's it. So I'm sorry, it's a big mistake, massive mistake. And then so then Basuma's maybe going. Then you still got Sarr. So who's coming in? Johnny Cardozo. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that'll be one. That'll be one as well.
Honestly, where are we going with this? And I've seen clips of this guy, and I don't think he's that great. You don't say, wow. You know what I mean? So it's just sums it all up. This is why now I'm sitting there saying, the guy that's gone to bloody AC Milan now, the director of football, again, an embarrassing take from Mr. Box Office because I criticised him so much. I'd rather have Pratici back at doing the transfers now. Because what are we doing? What are we doing? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's the whole thing with the manager as well. It's the same thing as well for me.
So, Alex, where are we allowed to buy our players from where they don't get called rejects then?
But listen, listen. I don't mind the reject. I don't mind the reject, Dan. But unfortunately, he's not changed my opinion, and he's still been a reject because he hasn't outshone himself, as far as I'm concerned. This is supposed to be a well drilled winner of Italian league with Juventus, and he's anything but.
Okay. But how many people have also turned around on here and said that every player has regressed because of Ange? So you could even turn around and say Romero is a reject and VDV is a reject and practically every player on that pitch is a reject because they've all been pretty much bog standard at their very best for us. But that's Ange's fault. So are they rejects or is it because of the manager?
No. We can agree with it's a bit of both. Both things can be correct, Dan. Both things can be correct. But the thing is, though, this guy has got experience with the best of the best at Juventus. Juventus will not accept this. They will not accept this. If it's something like this, somebody else would be some other player will sit there and say, well, thank you very much. I'll take your place. Thank you very much. But unfortunately, we don't do that. We get backups, which we're going to do the same in the summer. We know what we're going to do. We know what we're going to do because we're going to be worried about the manager. There'll be more about the manager than actually transfers.
Probably.
I bet you right now.
That's Tottenham for you. We're back to the point again. That's Tottenham for you.
I know. But I'm just saying. The only thing that can happen right now, right, is he does a Xhaka. What I mean by Xhaka, right? Xhaka I think he's got similar traits. This is a similar situation to Xhaka. Arsenal fans hated Xhaka. They said, why are we not getting rid of him? And then suddenly he had a very good season that one season, and Arsenal were going for the championship, weren't they? Right? And then Arsenal fans completely changed on him. Then he's gone up a little bit upward trajectory. I don't know if that's going to happen with Bentancur because how old is he now? 28 or something like that now.
Yeah,
I think
it's all I was saying to you is when do you? Like someone said it on the side here, Renee. If you can say Romero was a Juventus reject.
Well,
we bought him off Juventus.
Romero, let's be honest, Romero's regressed as well. Romero has regressed as well.
Everyone has regressed. Is it because it's a manager or is it because we're buying rejects?
Listen, you know what I feel about the manager. I think he's ruining play. You know I've said this already, Dan. I'm just trying to not repeat myself. But I'm saying at the moment, right, I think it's the bad choice what we're doing. It just shows you that I'm worried about the recruitment of the players at the moment because
who have we had the best recruitment of then? What person do you reckon has given us the best recruitment? I'm not saying any of it is good enough, but what one has been the best?
Paul Mitchell back in the day. I'll take David Pleat back then. You know,
I wouldn't say no to that either. But I'd say Paratici's been the best one we've had in a little while for sure. And he's better than what we got now.
Dan, that's why I'm saying I'm embarrassing myself. I have to go back and apologise that I'd rather have Paratici back at my club. Right? I said, hindsight's a beautiful thing. Yeah? Because this club do something worse. That's the only thing that's going for Ange at the moment. Right?
Like we've said we want Højbjerg back.
Exactly. So this is what's going for Ange at the moment. I'm worried we're going to get somebody worse. Because we're getting worse. We're getting worse every single time now recently.
Sure,
that's what worries me.
Wouldn't you at this stage, even if we listen, I know we're not trusting the players. Even at this stage, I'd rather say, okay, right, Bentancur's not here next year. Bergval's going to play every game next year. I would rather do that. I would rather say that we go Bergval, like not Bergval and Gray, but I'd rather roll the dice, because what we seem to do is every single year we do this thing, guys, where no matter how bad the players are, we always think a new manager's going to fix it. We had this for years with Sissoko, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Lamela. Next manager will get the best out of. Next manager. Surely now you say, look, thanks very much, Bentancur, but you aren't what you were. Well, I'll be honest, I never ever thought he was that great in a Spurs shirt anyway. I think he had a few good games against lesser opposition. Everyone lost their mind, and then he got the year injury. And the year injury, for me, actually made him a better player than he is, if you know what I mean. I think sometimes when players are injured and missing, we think they're better than they are because they're not available. We've done that all this year. But when all these injured players come back, you'll see how good we are. Well, they're all back and we still look shit. Why? Maybe they're just not as good as we think they are. But I do believe that you can definitely upgrade somebody like an Adam Wharton of Palace. I'm not saying him, but I'm just saying that type. Industrious, hardworking, gives you everything every game. With Bentancur, I look at him, the man looks like he's running into quicksand. He can't run. His passing is atrocious, by the way. Atrocious.
He's got terrible. I agree.
And but if Spurs offer him a new contract, it's almost like, what are we doing here, you know? To quote
who does he connect with? Who does he connect with as a partnership? Can someone tell me? Because the only one that I've seen is Højbjerg. Other than that, I haven't seen anybody that connects with him at the moment. You know what I mean? Because you always talk about partnerships, midfield and whatever. Who actually connects with him? Who can you sit there and say, okay, this midfielder actually connects with him? Because to me, if you're keeping him, you're sitting there looking at a player that can complement this guy. And if you're not doing that, or a youngster's complimenting him. But at the moment, I'm looking at Bergval. He's got no connection with bloody Bentancur.
Yeah, I mean, with the connection side of things, I agree with you, Alex. With the connection side of things, for me, that's on the manager. You know, at the end of the day, this manager hasn't built partnerships anywhere. And someone's made a great point here. Someone has. This is a really good point. Grumpy Steve, I love that name, said Bentancur, another suffering from the system. He doesn't have the engine for Ange. Now, I completely agree with you. Not every player is a run around like a headless chicken footballer. And Bentancur is not that. So if you're going to play, I don't know if you guys agree, if you're going to play Bentancur in the midfield, the two that play alongside him, I don't mean next to him, but the two that make up that midfield, they're the ones that need to have the legs. And Bentancur, sit a little bit deeper, let him pass, win it, give it, whatever it is. But at the moment, we're asking Bentancur up and down, not his game. He hasn't got the legs. He can't run.
No.
He never did. He never played that way. He's never played that way. And it's just, can any of the players play Ange's way? It doesn't look like it, does it? That's why we've lost what?
Footballers in the world could, Dan.
That's why we've lost 19 games.
I always hear from fans, if he gets his own players in, who are these magical footballers in world football that run all day, every day with great passing that want to join top? Where are they? Look at Rodri. Rodri, best player in the world, in my opinion. He doesn't run around like a headless chicken all game.
Could he even survive in Ange's tactics? That's the question. Would he even survive in it?
No.
Even if we get this number 6 that we're talking about, this defensive midfielder, you're only relying on one player. And if one player gets injured, what do you do?
No, the problem is with Ange, I stick by what I've repeated on 100 1,000 times now, is go put the best defence on the planet in front of him, and he would still not win a league because we would concede too many goals that would cost us too many games to win a league. And Locatelli, I've been saying that for years.
Love Locatelli. Proper midfield, proper player that sits in front of the back four, controls the game. But Ange wouldn't like him because he'd slow the game down too much.
Ederson. Locatelli and Ederson, one from Atalanta, the other from Juventus, would be lovely midfield.
Yeah,
I don't think he likes those sort of players, though. I think he wants to keep it moving, though. I think he likes to just keep it moving, and that's it for me. You know, I don't think he mixes it up enough for me as well. I think it is about coaching at the end of the day. I've looked at coaches yesterday. I did some research on some coaches, and it's interesting. I came across one that was actually assistant to Areola. What is his name? Ingo Perez for Rio Veracano, right? And it's just really just naturally just work with the players that you've got. You know what I mean? And it's just, and I think it's for me, when a coach, when someone's really doing well because you see a team actually progressing, players actually individually progressing. You see what I'm saying? So you see progress in their game, and they've moved from one place to another place at the moment. Yeah. And this is where I think we've done really bad with certain players, and this is over the years now. And Bentancur is kind of a summation of that, really. Like, he started not too badly when he started, like Kulusevski. He started on the scene train, but since then you've not seen the back progression. Not like when you saw with Dembele, with Pochettino. Again, apologise if anybody's heard this before from me, but it's like Gareth Bale, for instance. The progression. Even when Villas-Boas had him, and let's be honest here, we were a one-man team under Villas-Boas because of the brilliance of Gareth Bale and the way he developed him. But it's just the way he progressed to being that individual star that he was. You know what I mean? And
yeah, Alex, no one's allowed to flourish in this team. No one's allowed to express themselves. It's all very regimented. All it is hard work, up and down, up and down, up and down. But look, guys, I do want to end the show there. I want to say thank you very much to everyone who came on. Thank you to everyone who's watched. Really disappointed that we haven't managed to get one subscriber throughout 2 hours and 7 minutes, which is really poor. I said definitely be over 16.9k tonight. Nope. What I will say is tonight, 7:30, we'll be on Big Up watching England versus Albania. No doubt we will win big, and no doubt everyone will lose their minds like we always do with England games. The link I'm putting in now is the link for later if you want to save it anywhere. This link is for the show tonight. Anyone is welcome to join me and watch the game with me. Should be a nice, easy watch. Big up to you, Alex. Thank you for coming on. Nick, thank you for coming on. Danny, thank you for coming on. Thank you to whoever did just subscribe. Now leaves us one away from 16.9k. One away. Celebrate. And now somebody's just unsubscribed. Fuck you. Right, guys, girls, it's been emotional. Thank you very much. Take care. And you know what? Keep having the chats, guys. That's what these football channels are for. We want to debate. We want to chat football. We want to talk about football. It's why we set up our football channels. Thank you for joining in. With these shows don't mean anything without you lot in the chat as well. Thank you. Take care. Enjoy your Fridays. Say hello to your loved ones. And as always, Ange out, Levy out, and come on, you Spurs.